Hello and welcome to Warblog. This is the Battle of Grozny. It's interesting because it's all sort of part of a war that I hadn't really considered a lot before. The First Chechen War, which presumably means there was maybe a second Chechen War, and maybe other conflicts, all associated with it. So it seems like quite a significant battle. So this is Grozny. It's a bit of an odd shape. I haven't quite got my head around exactly sort of what happened, but there were essentially the Russians thought it was going to be a walkover. Now I haven't really considered the size of the units. I mean, basically the Wikipedia says that there should be 60,000 of these. And I put in 12,000 of these, which means there should be at least 5 times more. However, I don't think there are, but they're sort of balancing. There's balances on that. Firstly, the order of battle is quite specific on the Wikipedia page, and it divides it up into Group North, Group West, Group Northeast, and Group East. So I've put Group Northeast up here. Group Northeast there, Group North there, Group West there, and Group East here. I don't exactly know where they are. There is a little map that sort of shows maybe a more detailed line of battle somewhere else. But the order of battle is quite specific. For example, the Group West, which is this one, has the 693rd Motor Rifle Regiment, which you'll find sort of there, 693rd, and then they've got 4 battalions, which is fairly generous. And then obviously there's the 503rd Motor Rifle Regiment, and then there's the 232nd Parachute Regiment, and that's what it's got in Group West. Now, it does also go on to say that they had a hell of a lot of artillery and rockets, so I've added these artillery and rockets, and what you can't see here is it does mention that they just went in with quite a lot of armour. So I've given each of the groups an additional mechanised units, so that you can see the ones there, and you can see the mechanised units there. The mechanised units for this group come on turn 2, and the mechanised units for this group come on turn 2. So they've all got supplementary mechanised units to sort of make up for the narrative description. It says they went in with a lot of armour, but really there's only armour in this group, and I think in this one, 1 battalion there. That's interesting. You shouldn't be in the same hex. I'll have to sort that out. 11. Oh, 1 minute. Okay, I've corrected that, so I've moved him back a bit. But anyway, there's 1 armoured unit, so there's actually very little armour in this game. But the narrative sort of says that the Russian armoured columns that moved on Grozny on the 31st of December were hurriedly amalgamated from different army units, including many badly trained conscript soldiers. The forces columns aim to provide a blunt firepower and also to intimidate the Chechens through the sheer scale of the armoured operation. Well, it's quite hard to sort of intimidate anyone when you've only got 3 tank companies up here and a tank battalion here. So I might go and put in some more armour. I haven't really decided, but the thing is I don't want to make the Russians too strong, because essentially they had a really tough time of it. Basically it says, however, all armoured and mechanised units were understaffed and undertrained and for urban combat. Don't want to read it all. So 4 Russian armoured columns were originally meant to move in a sudden and coordinated attack, having defeated any hostile forces, were to meet at the presidential palace, which is sort of just under there somewhere. I'm not sure the exact location, but that's where I've put it. But basically, it says that a lot of the units didn't actually move. I'll read it out. However, the 19th Motorised Rifle Division was late on arrival to the Group West, In the east, the units did not join the forces when they moved into Grozny. But I'll read it properly. In the east, units of Major General Vladimir Orlov's 104th Airborne Division did not join the 129th Motor Rifle Regiment from the Leningrad military district when it moved in on Grozny. Subsequently, the 129th Regiment was defeated and retreated the next day without accomplishing its mission. So only Lieutenant General Lev Roklin's forces of the 8th Corps from the city of Volgograd, formerly Stalingrad, moved deeper into the city, attacking from the northern direction. It says, however, the 19th Motorized Rifle Division was late on arrival in West Group. So basically, it didn't go in particularly in a particularly sort of coordinated fashion. But what it sort of does say, perhaps more importantly, if I can find this bit, it basically says that the Chechen units were divided into combat groups consisting of 15 to 20 personnel, subdivided into 3 or 4 man fire teams. A fire team consisted of an anti-tank gunner, usually armed with Russian-made RPG-7s or RPG-18s, as well as a machine gunner and a rifleman. Basically, they went around destroying Russian armoured vehicles. So to destroy Russian armoured vehicles in Grozny, 5 or 6 hunter-killer fire teams deployed at ground level in second and third stories and in basements, and the snipers and machine gunners would pin down the supporting infantry, while the anti-tank gunners would engage the armoured vehicles, aiming at the top, rear and sides of the vehicles. It says that most of the Chechen fighters were, however, undisciplined militiamen with no authority or answering only to orders coming from their immediate field commander, which made effective battle coordination extremely difficult. Essentially, the Russians were taken by surprise, and their armoured columns, which are supposed to take the city without difficulty, were decimated in fighting more reminiscent of the Battle of Budapest in the late 1944. So, as a short-term measure, the Russians deployed self-propelled anti-aircraft guns to engage the Chechen combat groups, as the main gun of the tanks they used could not elevate and depress enough to engage the fire teams, and the armoured vehicles' machine guns could not suppress the fire of several different fire teams simultaneously. So essentially, what we've got here, we can see lots of anti-tank units sort of all over the place. We've got some here and here and here. So really, you're supposed to sort of be using those. So the thing is, to sort of represent the difficulty that the Russians have, I don't want to give them too much, so that they just, so it is a bit tough. So as it stands at the moment, I really can't say whether or not the Russians actually have enough to take Grozny. It could be that when you sort of add all the numbers up, which I haven't done yet, I mean, they are quite powerful ones. Whether or not it balances up against all of this, I mean, these are only 3s, but they are infantry, and they're going to be in either light or heavy urban terrain. So, and to be quite honest, maybe I should put in some more armour, just to sort of give that feel of the initial armoured punch. And then it would really depend on how you played it. But to be quite honest, it's a bit of an odd one, because it's sort of, well, if you want to come down through here, you've got to sort of go all the way along there, and I wouldn't really do that. I'd just come straight down here, and Northern Group, just ignore all this bit here. So whether or not they defended all of the city, and how significant this sort of column is of the city, it does seem to be a bit more sparse over here, but maybe these should be city hexes as well. But basically, Grozny is quite a sort of strange shape. It's also got this sort of hills, and it does say that they started firing with their artillery from the hills and mountains around Grozny. So I'm not sure I've got all the terrain as it should be, but there is there do appear to be hills over here, and sort of a band of hills here. And what's not as clear, there seems to be quite a lot of forest here, 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 and here. And obviously, I'm not sure whether this motorway was there then, but it's not the Second World War, so it's not too long ago. But it looks like quite an interesting battle, as a sort of preliminary setup. You should probably sit here for years. I think it's sort of good enough. I'm not going to start playing it. I think I'm going to leave it at that because I just wanted to sort of, give a general overview of, of the game. It's been sat there for a while. It's because it's quite complex to set up. But I think I'm going to leave it as it is. But the only thing I will do is add some armour in there, just to sort of give you, the option to move in with armour, and also for the Chechen forces to blow some armour up with their anti-tank guns. So, I hope that interests you. I'll speak to you later. Cheers, bye.